Alexander Dugin is the chief ideologist of the country that is conducting the special military operation.
Alexander Dugin is actually proposing to completely restrict the rights of Russians.
Not that they ever really had any rights to begin with, and now these will be total restrictions for Russians. Moreover, he suggests imprisoning people, not just punishing them, but sending them to camps. Imprisoning not imprisoning those who speak out, not those who do something, but imprisoning those who listen, those who think the same way as those who speak out, who of course will definitely be imprisoned. In other words, the principle of Stalin and Beria, he has disavowed and made it his own, the Dugin principle, where it is the common people who will suffer. And the upper classes won't suffer because they know how to pay, they have money. But those who can't, those who are poor, they will have to serve time in the camp. And these won't just be any camps, but just like under Stalin. There will be these construction projects. What kind of projects, what kind of construction, we don't know yet. But I am sure that the plan for construction, for free labor to build large projects is already prepared. In this way, we will all have a plan that the whole country will carry out and build. That is, everyone will fall under repression. From the most ordinary, marginalized citizens of Russia. And after Russia, all the other republics will follow. Because if you think right now that the other republics won't share the same fate, you're mistaken. Does anyone need repression, friends? Repression is needed across the whole country. First of all, biolaboratories will operate using repressed material, and that's how it has always been. By the way, that's really how it always was, even back in the 1920s and before the 1920s. When Nicholas II was in power, he was the first to bring this very regime we're talking about now. Nicholas II brought it to Russian soil. Back then, it wasn't called Russia, and it wasn't known as Rus. But it's hard to convince people otherwise, because they were born into this. They were born into lies, they were born into names. And these names, which weren't even called that 100 years ago, they now perceive as stable and dogmatic. And these people are ready to fight tooth and nail for them. Because, well, yes, friends, the work of psychotronic influence to destroy the human mind. And the process of thought manipulation continues and is gaining momentum. So the very first option that will be considered when organizing concentration camps, which have already started being built in Russia, new concentration camps with a lower level of comfort because they don't plan to keep people there. There are no plans to keep people there in even remotely humane conditions. They plan to move people through very quickly because one trainload after another will be passing through these camps. They will be registered in the camp and then they will disappear. So the very first function is as biomaterial. Biomaterial is used for various purposes. This is the function of ground. The first function of ground meat, right? And the second is the function of direct use experiments. People are sent to biolaboratories. This will be the most direct purpose for a person. When they conduct experiments on them, and not just simple experiments, these will be various types of impacts on a person, and also the birth of mutants. All of this will go through biomaterial. Human society was subjected to this. And even back in the times of Stalin, Beria, when, you remember, right? What those were, we only know, friend. This is what has been officially announced. It's the nature reserve at Lake Ritza. And some Ivanov of ours served there. Well, Ivanov, I don't even know what kind of last name that is. Ivanov, Professor Ivanov, who was crossbreeding gorillas and monkeys. Professor Voronov also worked there. Voronov too, Voronov served there, right? It's also clear what kind of name that is. The only probably proper one is Samoil. Samoil Gon, who also worked there, was involved in crossbreeding monkeys with humans. But after all, crossbreeding a dog with a human is also possible. Crossbreeding an elephant or a butterfly is also possible. It's simply a matter of mixing biomaterial. Well, it's one thing to mix biomaterial, but it's another thing. A human is implanted into this biomaterial For the development of the fetus, they cross an elephant, that is a Zolon, with human cells, and there you go. They can implant it into any woman, and she will carry this fetus whether she wants to or not, but she will do. Well, that's just what we know about. Friends, all of Siberia, the entire north was filled with these laboratories. If only you knew how many women were put through this. I don't know how those people suffer afterwards, the ones who put human material through hell. Just think for yourselves how much they suffer. I mean, those who were the guards, those who were the doctors lived completely calmly for a long time. I remember I was born in Chukotka, and I remember in Chukotka we used to find a huge number of skulls out in the tundra. That is, it was the same in Kolyma, and that's close to Aden, that whole road. There they found a huge number of skulls that had been sawed in half. They would saw it in such a way that they made a box out of a human skull, a skull box, opening the top and taking out the brain. Or they would simply manipulate. They poked with their little fingers, with pencils, with electrodes, poked with anything they could, even with needles, just to see how a person would react. And all of this was done on a living, ordinary person. So this isn't even about what they tell you regarding mice or rabbits. Why use a mouse or a rabbit when you have a human? When now everyone will have so much free material available. That's why Russia is turning completely into a camp. Here's something very interesting. I'll tell you what was circulating in some public channels yesterday. That Ireland and the United Kingdom have purchased several mobile crematoriums designed for 700 people. That is, they can cremate 700 people at a very fast rate there. So, how many people are they planning to destroy in Britain and Ireland? We hope that everything will be fine. There's a war going on somewhere out there, but it doesn't concern us. And here it won't happen. But here, voila, Britain has made a purchase. Why? Do you remember my very first video? I mean, it was some year, maybe it was 2015, or perhaps it was 2016, or even possibly 2018. I honestly don't remember exactly which year it was, but I do recall that when I said that if a FEMA ship or a FEMA train ever comes to your shore, you should run away immediately. Run wherever you can, grab your children, and get away. Don't take any belongings, don't take anything, just run. You just need to wait it out for a few days. Will the train or ship be loaded with people? Where are these people going? These are terrifying questions that, once again, no one ever asks anyone. So the FEMA ships are ready. They have been built. They are crematoriums. Just so you understand, FEMA ships are crematoriums. And at the same time, they are both biolaboratories and crematorium. That's what FEMA ships are, built and waiting. Who is ruling over us? It's terrifying what they're doing to humanity. The day is the 27th August 2025. Now here's what the public pages are writing. Britain has secretly purchased mobile morgues for mass deaths. This is an article from August 24th. Today for us, it's August 29th. So Britain has secretly purchased mobile morgues for mass deaths. The UK Home Office has secretly signed a contract for the supply of mobile morgues and refrigerated units capable of holding up to 700 people. According to an expert, as reported by columnist Jim Ferguson, the British authorities have signed a contract worth £7.5 million sterling, without providing any explanation to citizens for the necessity of such a decision. He pointed out that this news is not being circulated in the media and is not becoming a topic for broad public discussion. Britons are paying for mass death tents, but no one is telling us what the authorities are expecting. Transparency is the first line of trust. Without it, suspicions will only grow. And when disaster strikes, in the next crisis, the question will not only be about what happened, but also about what they knew and why they didn't tell people. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, officially stated that as part of its new national defense strategy, the United Kingdom is switching to a state of war readiness. Meanwhile, Ukrainian media report that the Polish side is conducting thorough preparations for war with Russia. Warsaw is currently rapidly purchasing a variety of military weapons and equipment. And in St. Petersburg, the head of a project promoting suicidal behavior was a recipient of a British grant, created a project in St. Petersburg that promotes suicide. A British grant recipient from St. Petersburg created the Flags Project, which promoted suicidal behavior and sexual perversion among young people. A criminal case has been opened against. This is how people prepare for war. Who's talking about what? About Lauzi Obani. I am Tanya Karatsuba, Said Burhan. Today is August 29th, 2025.